My name is Keontae, and I just finished my rookie season in the NBA. And thanks to Sal and 2K, you guys will be able to enjoy my story from high school to college to the pros. So make sure you grab a snack, something to drink, and whether you're watching for the first time or just reliving the memories, I hope you enjoy my story. This is Keontae Blue, the 5-star freshman out of Chicago, Illinois, who, like every other prospect, had dreams of making it to the NBA. And his dreams one step closer with his commitment to Villanova. Villanova is a very successful program in the midst of rebuilding, and well, Keontae didn't have dreams of winning the national championship, but he wanted to use this university as a stepping stone to get one step closer to the NBA. But in order to reach that ultimate goal, he's got to put in the work, and that work starts now. His college season will begin in Austin, Texas as he makes his freshman debut against the Texas Longhorns, who are one of the top-ranked teams in the country. And while Villanova isn't highly ranked themselves, with the signing of Keontae Blue, the highly touted freshman, they figured this will be a good matchup to open up their season. Now, of course, Keontae can't do it by himself. He's going to be relying on the veteran leadership of his backcourt in Alex Kemp and Jared Poa. And on the other side, Texas features two of the top prospects in this upcoming NBA draft, and Amari Rice and Tyus Williams. Yeah, Keontae was going to have his hands full to start off his career, but he's up for the challenge. Listen, when you're a 5-star prospect, everybody's depending on you to make a splash early. And speaking of making a splash early, Texas did just that, as Keontae would struggle out the gate going up against some of the elite talent that Texas had. See, I didn't really fill you guys in on Keontae's playing style. He wasn't really known as much of a shooter at all in high school. He relied solely on his athleticism. I mean, he shot up to 6'8", 205 by his senior year in high school. His high school coaches didn't really tell him or work on his game that much. Texas would take full advantage of Villanova's lackluster start to the game as they would come out firing on all cylinders. I mean, these were some of the best players in the nation that they're going against, so this is a good measuring scale for Keontae and Villanova to see where they rank at. And as we can see, Keontae needs to immediately hit the gym, work on that jumper, as well as he needs to hit the weight room as he was getting bullied down in the paint by Amari Rice. And if Keontae wants to make the NBA, he's got a long way to go, as being a 5-star prospect isn't going to get him drafted. But what is going to get him drafted is his athleticism. It became quite obvious that Villanova wasn't going to win this game as Texas was straight up bullying them. Keontae was getting outplayed in the post, the guards were getting outplayed by Texas guards, and they were showboating all throughout this game. Hey, if nothing else, this game exposed Keontae's weaknesses early on and showed him what he has to work on if he wants to have a chance to go pro after one season here at Villanova. And after a lackluster performance, Villanova will fall by 18 to Texas to open up the season. And obviously, Keontae did not have the start he wanted to for his college career, but of course, he'll have a chance to make up for it in the next game. Homecoming. Keontae will be returning to his home state to face the University of Illinois for the first time since he left high school. And well, while Champaign is about 2 hours away from Chicago, the feeling was still the same. He'll also be facing against two former teammates of his in Tevin Porter and Robert Sessions. These three used to play AAU basketball together in Chicago, and they weren't excited when Keontae decided to take his talents out of state. Better believe there was no love lost in this matchup as Keontae would come out the gate booming. He had family in attendance, so this game meant everything to him. Early on in the season, there was a chance for him to make a statement that, hey, I'm not a fluke, bro. I really belong on this college level with the rest of them top prospects. He came out this game showing off his playmaking vision, and the rest of the team followed suit. Hey, it's amazing what happens when you don't give up on an athlete after one bad game, and that's what it was. Just one bad game in Keontae's mind. For the rest of the season, he was on go mode. He already knows what it was like to play poorly and hear it from the press. So this game, he took out all his frustrations, and after this dominant performance, he immediately shot up to top 10 in the upcoming mock draft as he will put up 25, 8 rebounds, and 3 blocks. And Villanova will go on to get the impressive win on the road. Keontae will prove his worth, and now Villanova takes their talents back to the crib. Story takes us back to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where Villanova plays their home opener against crosstown rival Temple. And Keontae has his first chance to perform in front of his home crowd. The excitement was at an all-time high to see the 5-star freshman make his home debut, and he came out a little jittery. I'm talking about missing jumpers, and just indecision with the basketball would lead to turnovers early on in the game, and he would get a little out of character, not to mention his free throw struggles would continue as Keontae will be one of the worst free throw shooters in college basketball, which is just not a good look. And when you have scouts watching your every move. Right now, Keontae's bread and butter is in the paint. He didn't have much of a jumper to rely on, so he relied on interior scoring as well as playmaking to get him through. And Keontae was a very impressive passer for his size. That may be something to watch out for going forward. As Villanova win this game by 14, the freshman put up a near triple-double in an impressive performance, and it seems like Keontae and Villanova are well on their way. Oh, but this story isn't done yet. Story takes us to rivalry week, Storrs, Connecticut, where Villanova will go on to face UConn, the #1 team in the nation. And this team is deep. Hey, both of these teams have won multiple national championships in the last decade, so the rivalry really needs no explanation. But as to make matters worse, UConn has a star-studded lineup as they feature 4 NBA prospects, nearly touting a prospect at every single position on the court, and it would take a complete team effort for Villanova to stay in this game. I mean, off the rip, they were already toying with the guards in the backcourt. And this team is so crazy, they had the guards throwing lobs to each other, bruh. Keontae and Villanova were shocked as UConn came out the gates, blitzing them. And for the first time in his college career, Keontae was getting shadowed by a real lockdown defender. UConn assigned forward Sam Stewart to shadow Keontae throughout the entire game and cause problems, and that's exactly what he did. And UConn would cause problems on the offensive end as they were just proved to be too big, too fast, too skilled, and too talented. Frustrations mounted up early for Villanova as UConn would take a 17-point lead into halftime, leaving Villanova to scratch their heads and wonder, how do we fix this, man? They felt like they needed a spark coming out of halftime, so coach would draw up a play for Keontae to get open off a lob to get this team going. But as any great team would do, UConn had a counter and were ready. And Villanova was just stunned as Keontae would be boxed. There were a lot of NBA scouts watching this game, and Keontae did not have a great showing, leaving a lot of scouts to scratch their heads wondering if the beginning of his season was a fluke. And hey, even though they were down double digits for the majority of the game, Keontae had to remind himself, listen, I got a future ahead of me. I got to think about the NBA. I got to do something in this game that sets me apart from the rest, even when facing adversity. And that's exactly what he did. Look, it was clear and evident that UConn was dominating this game, but Keontae continued to show his playmaking ability, so much so, coach would put Keontae in at point guard and shift Alex Kemp down to the 2 and Jared Pollard to the 3, and while Kemp didn't take too kindly that, Keontae could see his future ahead of him. He realized this could be the decision that changes everything for him. So, with about 5 minutes left in his game, Keontae will run point. For the first time in his young career, he's bringing the ball up the court like a real guard. I mean, hey, this was a chance for Keontae to reinvent himself as a real point guard. And his first pass at point guard was a bad one, and it led to a UConn transition dunk, but of course that didn't stop Keontae in his confidence as he would continue to show off his playmaking and vision. At a 6'8" size, potential for Keontae at point guard was through the roof. He was already a great defender, and now with his size, he could bully the guards at his position and become nearly unstoppable in the college game. But in order to take that next step, he really needs to work on his free throw game. I mean, it's already bad enough that he doesn't have a consistent jump shot, but the free throws are supposed to be bread and butter. It's supposed to be a way to earn your hard work, and he can't do that. But what is clear that he can do is find an open man on his team, and his teammates were excited about the transition for him to point guard. We know that he can't shoot, but we know what he can do, and that's find his teammates, get rebounds, and defend at a high level. UConn will run away with this game clear as day. They made it obvious as to why they're the #1 team in the nation, while Villanova is currently struggling in their season. It was the first time in Keontae's career that he faced an elite defense, and while he had some struggles, he had some bright spots during his game where he showed his playmaking and his ability to impact the game without being an elite jump shot shooter. Villanova would take one of the worst losses of the season, losing by 15 on the road to UConn. Hey, you win some, you lose some, right? Keontae's stat line looks pretty decent, and while he had struggles at the free throw line, his vision was off the charts, and the coaching staff decided they would let Keontae start at point guard for the next game. And this would be the beginning of PG Key. Keontae would spend the rest of the season as Villanova's starting point guard, and there was a newfound excitement in Philadelphia. The fans were already excited that the team signed this 5-star prospect, but now that he's running the show, this team is looking much more fluid with him at the helm. Man, with his size at this position, he proved to be dominant in this game against Providence. It was his first time starting at point guard, and he was already looking like a natural. Keontae was usually much more reserved, but now his confidence is oozing throughout his game as we're seeing much more highlight plays. He was putting on a straight show for the Villanova fans at home, proving why he should be a lottery pick in this upcoming draft. Keontae even received a standing ovation at one point in the game, man. It was crazy. As far as the scouts, they were scouting him initially as a power forward, but now with the switch to point guard, this has the potential to skyrocket Keontae all the way up the mock drafts. In the game against DePaul, he showed out his full arsenal. The scouts got a chance to see his defensive tenacity, his willingness to be able to guard the other team's best player, recover, and get back on offense and be able to deliver dimes to his teammates and set them up in positions to be able to score. Keontae was diming so much, he had to make sure his hand was alright, bro. He felt like his nail was about to fall off the way he was moving that ball. But the one thing that has not changed with the switch to point guard is the free throw line struggles, bro. I'm telling you, it's gonna make it more magnified now that he's a point guard that he can't consistently knock down free throws. And despite putting on a show for the fans, the scouts were a little hesitant because of his free throw shooting. I mean, between his free throws and his lack of a consistent jump shot, those things could potentially keep him out of the top 10 in this upcoming draft. That didn't stop Keontae from showing why he deserves to be the point guard of this team, as Villanova will go on to win back-to-back games. No matter what happens to Villanova this season, Keontae proved that he deserves to be a point guard on the next level. Final game. Villanova was not good enough to make March Madness, so this was Keontae's last chance to prove himself to NBA scouts. The last game of the season takes us to Omaha, Nebraska, where Villanova will face off against Creighton, which featured one of the best players in college basketball and Derek Fisher II. Derek is regarded as the best point guard prospect in all of college basketball. Stands about 6'5", 200 pounds, and he poses a real threat for Keontae. This was one of the most hyped up matchups of the season, and it couldn't have come at a better time as both Keontae and Derek were ready to enter their names in the NBA draft in just a few months, but tonight they had a showdown, and it didn't disappoint. Keontae came out the gates showing off his playmaking ability. He's already established himself as one of the best playmaking prospects in this upcoming draft, but what they didn't know, he's been slowly but surely adding the mid-range game to his arsenal. With that and his playmaking ability and just his straight up size and bully ability in the paint, how could you not want to take Keontae with your draft pick? He straight up put on a show in the first half against Creighton, this last collegiate game, proving why he deserves to go lottery in this upcoming draft. It may have took the whole season, but his confidence is now through the roof. Even with Keontae balling out, that didn't mean Derek Fisher II didn't have his game as well. The two went back and forth. Keontae had a struggle in the second half, and Derek Fisher II picked up on that, diving for loose balls, showing a little bit more hustle. And hey, we already know that Keontae can't shoot, and that's something Derek specializes in. And at this point in the game, it was tight. It was close-knit. The scouts are looking to see which one of these point guards can lead their team to a fantastic finish. And right now, it's not looking like that's Keontae. Derek Fisher had this man on clamps, and on the offensive side of the ball, Keontae could not find his jump shot. His saving grace was on the defensive side of the ball, as he would keep his team in the game with clutch defensive plays, as well as timely offensive buckets. It was pretty obvious that this game was going to have to go down to the wire to decide his winner. But Creighton and Derek Fisher II were not going down without a fight. I mean, when you match his jump shot with his pro-level ability to attack the basket, it left Keontae and Villanova in frustration. Keontae would pick up some frustration fouls late in the game, putting Derek Fisher on the line where he would knock down his free throws, and that's something we all know Keontae can't do. The game remained tight with about 2 minutes to go, and Derek Fisher would hit a clutch jump shot in the mid-range. Keontae would come right back at him and bully ball him to an and one to keep the game close. Hey, the game is on the line. Everything matters. Scouts are watching. NBA teams are ready to see which point guard they want to bank their future on. Now is not the time to come up short in the big time moments. But as the story is told, Keontae would hit the free throw line, bricking his and one, and Derek Fisher II would take over the later stages of this game. You hit a clutch big-time three in Keontae's face, and what happens after this is embarrassing. Derek Fisher II would take Keontae straight to the basket, feeling the contact, and would rise up, power it right on top of his head. Man, you hate to see this view of Keontae or Villanova fan, as Creighton would dominate the last stretches of the game and win by 7, leaving Keontae and Villanova with the loss to end their season. Even in the loss, Keontae put up an impressive stat line to close out his freshman season, and his focus would now shift to the NBA. His future, his body of work and his resume were already complete. Now he had to prove to the scouts that he had the work ethic behind the scenes to make the necessary jumps that they asked him so he can go higher in the draft. Even with Keontae not being able to knock down consistent jump shots, the free throw line remained the most important part of his deficiencies, because what's the point of going to the basket if you can't knock down free throws? We're days away from the NBA draft, and Keontae was invited to the NBA draft combine in Chicago, Illinois, where he saw a lot of familiar faces that he saw throughout his freshman season. Old friends, old foes, but everybody had the same goal in this draft combine uniform. They're trying to figure out where they're going in the draft, trying to make a stake that they deserve to be picked higher than the other man. Keontae had worked on his free throws so much in the months before the combine that he actually showed. He hit a couple of free throws during his combine game. Combined with his playmaking ability, it was clear and evident that Keontae was bound to be a lottery pick. Keontae would leave the combine in his hometown city. In just a couple of weeks, he'll be hearing his name called in the NBA draft. With his time in Villanova coming to an end, Keontae will leave town and begin his pre-draft workouts. We're just days away from the NBA draft, and the mock drafts have him going as high as number 8 to the Washington Wizards, as some have him going as low as number 15 to the Atlanta Hawks. His agent makes sure he worked out with every lottery team, and for Keontae, he really had no dream destination. His goal was almost here, the NBA. It didn't matter where he was drafted at, as long as he made it.
With the 17th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Los Angeles Lakers select
Keontae Blue, point guard, Villanova. That's right. Keontae would slip all the way to number 17 in the draft, bypassing the lottery completely. All the teams he worked out for decided to pass up on him, and one of the few teams he didn't work out for decided to pick him up. He had a chance to play with one of the greatest players of all time, if not the greatest, and join one of the greatest franchises in NBA history. And after surviving summer league, training camp, and preseason, Keontae earned his spot on his Los Angeles Lakers team, which had NBA title hopes, and it all began in Denver on opening night. The biggest moment of Keontae's life. He's set to check into his first game, and how would he perform? Well, Opening night of my NBA career began in Denver, Colorado, where my team, the LA Lakers, were facing the defending champion, Denver Nuggets. I was watching LeBron James and Anthony Davis go up against Nikola Jokic. For the first time in my life, I wasn't a fan. I was actually a part of an NBA team. In the moment, it didn't really matter to me that we were losing the game. All that mattered was that I made it. Even though I was a first round pick, I knew the Lakers were in a position to try to win a championship, so I didn't expect to get that many minutes. I knew the guys they signed on this roster were expected to take those minutes in rotation, and for me, Max Christie and Jalen Hood-Schifino, our job was to soak up as much knowledge and the experience of being on the NBA roster while just waiting our turn patiently. I gotta admit, it was a different experience. All my life I've been used to being the main guy, getting all the minutes, not really sitting on the bench much. This time around, I'm the cheerleader. I'm the guy sitting patiently waiting, feeling invisible. As the night went on, it was clear that we were losing this game, and everybody had got a chance to get in the game. Even Max. I really didn't even know what to say or do on the bench. I'm sitting next to NBA legends. What do I even say to them? Do they even care that I exist? Finally, coach looked down my way, called my number, and said, "Hey Rook, get in the game. We need you." And I said, "Bet." I got up, made my way up the sidelines, headed to the scores table, and checked in NBA game for the first time in my career. Excitement, nervousness, anxiety, all in one. But I knew my time was here, and I had to take advantage of it. Dribbling the ball up the court for the first time, I really made it. But all these feelings were short-lived. Coach subbed me in with 10 seconds left just to dribble the ball up the court and waste the clock, as we ended up losing this game by over 15. It didn't take long for me to realize my place on this team. They already had ball handlers. They already had all-world defenders. And of course, they had LeBron. LeBron played the position I wanted to play. I wanted to be the big guard bringing the ball up the court, but instead, I was protecting the bench, playing my role on the sidelines. I was wondering if coach even knew who I was after a certain amount of time. He didn't even look my way on this side of the bench. It was cold, lonely. I got to watch NBA legends in their prime play. As for me, different cities, same results, playing the bench. I used to just look up in the sky wondering when my time would come. We're like 7 or 8 games into the season and I'm already tired of watching D-Lo dribble the ball. Everything he does irks me. I feel like I could do it better. I just went from playing high intensity games in college to being the first cheerleader off the bench. I'm not even listening to coach for real. I'm just pretending I am, just in case he calls my name. The best thing that ever happened to me is having guys like Cam Reddish and Max Christie on his team. They invited me to a shoot around after our home game. And of course these guys were elite shooters. As for me, you guys saw me in college. I could barely hit a rock in the ocean from downtown. But watching these guys had me motivated. They reminded me that if I want to touch the NBA court, I really got to be able to shoot this three. This team already has enough ball handlers and has enough defenders, but they need shooters. And that's exactly what I desired to be, one step at a time. It was rough, but it was a process. Being great shooters, the best advice they gave to me is to work on the corner three. When LeBron brings the ball up the court, if he sees you open in the corner, best believe he's going to pass it to you. That's what Cam told me. I mean, hey, it's the shortest distance, right? It should be easy. Watching these guys do it is like night and day. I hit the side of the backboard for one of my first shots, and it was only up from there though. Eventually I got the hang of it. I felt like if I just had a good rhythm in the game, I can knock it down. It's all about confidence. It's all about trusting your ability. And at this time, I needed all the confidence I could get. I wasn't getting any minutes in the game. I was willing to do whatever it took to get on that court. I just needed to hang in there, man. I knew my time would come. On November 10th, I got a call from my agent informing me that the LA Lakers sent me down to the South Bay Lakers, the G League affiliated team. They want me to do a stint in the G League to give me some minutes and some burn. Since I was getting 0 minutes in the rotation on the professional level, this was the perfect way to not halt my development. I was still a first round pick at the end of the day, and I wasn't the only one. They sent Jalen and Max here too. They felt like us three could lead the backcourt. In addition, they sent Cole Swider and also signed an undrafted free agent rookie and Devontae Weber. 7-foot center with some promise, but a lot of flaws. But between us five, we were here to turn this team up, man. It's the G League, but it's not the end of us. It's only the beginning. We felt like if we performed on this level, maybe the coaching staff would finally notice us. Maybe other teams would notice us. At the end of the day, we hoopers, bro. We just want a chance. Getting ready for our first game, we realized something. Me and Jalen had the same number. Since it was too late to change before the game, we decided whoever had the best game out of us two gets to keep number 1. The other will have to change. Getting ready for my first G League game, I noticed something different. No crowd, bro. I went from playing in front of thousands at Nova to nobody. But the energy was still the same. Devontae came out and set the tone with a block early on legend Kenneth Faried, and as for me, I followed suit. And this team got rolling quick. I mean, bro, you would have thought we've been playing together since high school the way we were moving that ball. I was throwing lobs to Vontae, and man, it felt like I was back at Nova the way I was throwing lobs, bro. Max was even getting up there for dunks. I didn't even know he had that vert in him, bro. I thought he was just a shooter. I was setting the tone on defense, right here locking up Mason Jones. Everything felt so natural. It's almost like I've been playing this whole time, but I haven't. We haven't. Nobody on this team have really been getting real minutes in the NBA. So this is our chance to prove ourselves. And that, we did. Our first G League game, we cooked. Ran them boys out the gym. And for the first time in a while, I was back in the huddle, being the guy, really having to pay attention. I hadn't been this hyped since college, bro. And now, it's back. And I'm back. Never in my life did I dream about playing for the G League. But in reality, that's where I'm at. And wherever I'm at, I'm gonna play my best. And that's exactly what we did the first game out. But we'll be put to the test quick. The next stop of my journey takes us to Las Vegas, Nevada, where we'll face the best team in the G League, featuring 5 NBA prospects in this upcoming draft. And well, it was our first real test as a G League team. We had been torching the league at this point. This team had the best of the best. I'm talking about young prospects that were ready to take over the NBA, and they didn't even feel like they had to go to college to do that. These were 18-year-olds fresh out of high school getting trained by NBA trainers. And as for me, y'all know my story, so I don't care who I'm going against. I'm only 19. For me, this was a match against players I'm gonna be competing with for the rest of my career, so I gotta set the tone. But out of all these prospects, there was one guy that I was particularly scared of, Susu. He was currently number 5 on 2024's mock draft, but it wasn't just because of his size and skill. He had something nobody else had, his hands. I've never in my life seen hands that big. Scared the heck out of me, and Devontae for that matter. Man, I could only laugh thinking about how that matchup would go, but I had to quickly straighten up, because my matchup wasn't no joke. Elliot Reeves, he was one of the top guards in the G, and I know me and my squad would have our work cut out for us. Man, these 18-year-olds jumped out on us quick, hopped out the gate ready to spark up. I got caught napping on defense, and Reeves drifted to the corner, and he didn't care about my late contest. He still splashed it. And on offense, this dude Elliot left me in the quarter wide open. Disrespectful, Ben Simmons treatment, and I didn't even get the ball. And on defense, he had me looking lost. At this point, my PTSD was starting to trigger me. This reminded me of that UConn game when my team got embarrassed. It seemed like it was nothing I could do early on. Did I get overconfident and too cocky after one G League game? Maybe. The first half was a blur. It seemed like everybody was getting off for their team. I remember one time Susu clapped and it shook the whole stadium up, but nobody was missing. And for myself, I got rushed, out of character, committing stupid turnovers, leading to easy transition baskets. I needed a wake-up call in the second half. So right before halftime, I got a steal off Elliott, and I took it straight to the basket, going for the dunk. And I think that woke me and my team up. Heading to the second half, we were a different ball club. I came out the gates, ready to go crazy, driving right past Reeves and slamming it down for the dunk, getting up there like I so often know how to do. Hey, y'all gotta remember, this is only my second real game of basketball since I left Nova way back in March. So it took me a while, but I eventually got it going. And when I got it going, my team got it going. Right here, Hushafino misses the 3, but I fight for the ball and throw it back down, and NBA scouts were in attendance. So I had to show off my defense, my offense, and my playmaking. And that's exactly what I did. After having a crazy second half against the G League Ignite, I was confident that my time would come. I just had to keep putting in the work. And that's exactly what I did. Me, Max, and Vontae helping with the boards, getting more shots in after games and after practice. Look, we were already one of the best teams in the G. We knew our time would come soon, but I had to stay ready. I knew the only way I was touching the NBA court again is if my jumper looked somewhat respectable. And in the meantime, I took out all my frustrations on every team in the G. We were going on the road, violating teams. And after about 10 games, my name started to circulate as one of the best players in the G. I was only 19, bro, but I was averaging almost a triple-double in this league. I'm playing against professionals and former professionals. I did better than I did in college. It just felt like my confidence was super high, and it translated. But now, I wait. I'm ready. I feel like my time is now. I'm ready to show that I can do this on the real level, NBA level. Just take me back. That's all I asked for. Well, it seemed like the Lakers heard my ask. December 1st, I make my official return to the NBA. The Lakers were gearing up for a long road trip, and it started in Milwaukee. They needed me and Max to come up and fill bodies on the bench and get potential playing time. And y'all know this Milwaukee team, Giannis and Dame. I didn't really care about that though. I just got through cooking the G League, man. I'm just excited to be back. I feel like my name is certified now. I feel like the whole world watched me, even though they did it. But it didn't matter to me. I was on the bench cheering on my team again. The game went how you would think it would go. Dame started off hitting threes from the half court, but LeBron did his thing, keeping us in the game at 38 years old. and he would be dishing, attacking the basket, and finding the open guys. And there's my guy Cam, my mentor. As for me, I'm just patiently waiting my turn. My time will come as coach will look down the bench and motion to me and Max Christie to check in the game for the first time. My nerves were out of this roof. I was excited though, not really as anxious. I feel like I've been hooping. I got all the momentum in the world. I know this is the NBA level, but I'm ready. It's a Friday night, ESPN game, third quarter. We're up by about 10 points with a little over 4 minutes left in the third quarter, and Coach wanted us in there to get some burn and see if we could help extend this lead. And if not, we'll find ourselves back on the bench. I wasn't worried about all that. I'm standing next to Damian Lillard, bro, watching LeBron James shoot free throws for my team. I didn't really have a real plan of attack. I was just out there to do whatever the team needed. My first offensive possession, I had the ball in my hands. I called for AD to set a screen, and my instincts took over. I pulled up for a mid-range shot and bricked it, and my heart almost sunk. But LeBron had my back. Dame tried to cook me up. LeBron reaches in for the steal, and not only does he do that, he finds me in transition for the easy layup. I get my first career points off of LeBron assists, bro. I felt like I was in a different world. And then AD finds me in transition for another layup. Hey, the NBA life is looking really easy if I'm just getting layups all the time. And right here, AR-15 knocks down a wide open 3 and we extend this lead to 17. Rolling. This team is looking unstoppable right now. And I felt like I was finally a part of it. I was in the lineup. I was coming back to the bench getting cheers. I was having to pay attention to coach this time. But my excitement was short-lived as he'll pull me and Max right back out the game. And I thought it was for a short stint on the bench, but it turns out I was there for a while. We were well into the fourth quarter by this point, and coach sent me to the scores table to check in for D'Angelo Russell. But as soon as I went to the scores table, D'Angelo saw me and started knocking down his shots. And well, as the story's told, coach will pull me right back to the bench after D'Angelo hit this layup, and we had a secure lead. And he said, "Rook, maybe next time." My confidence just dropped, y'all. I thought I was hooping. I was finally contributing. Me and Max. Now, I'm back to being a cheerleader. First one off the bench, huh? LeBron had a dominant game. We were going to beat the Milwaukee Bucks on the road to start our long road trip in the East Coast. As for me, I was a little bummed out. I felt like I had more in the tank. Way more than 3 minutes to contribute. So after the game, me, Max, and Jackson Hayes stood back and got some extra shots up before the team plane left out of Milwaukee. Just because I didn't get that many minutes doesn't mean I can't stay ready. I gotta be prepared. You never know, right? After staying late in Milwaukee getting shots up, the team plane landed us in DC as we will take on the Wizards in the next game. And for me, I had to get there early. AD helped me work on my free throws, another part of my game where I want to stay warm in. Listen, it's all about improvement, day to day. You never know when your time is coming and who's watching. Speaking of watching, it felt like that's all I was doing on this road trip. It was like a cycle all over again. I would spend most of the game watching from the bench. Coach would check me in for a couple minutes, sub me back out. In this game against Cleveland, me and my boy Austin checked in the game, but coach said he was the primary ball handler, which left me to run straight to the corner and just get ready to see what I could do on offense, which for me was absolutely nothing. I spent most of the time just standing there like a bystander, like I wasn't even on the court, pretending to get involved in action. One time I took matters into my own hands and tried to make a play to AD and turn the ball right over to Jared Allen. And in transition, I failed to get back properly and left a wide open layup. And coach immediately took me out the game, and I didn't see the court for basically the rest of the road trip. Despite how many times I tried to plead with the coaching staff, they weren't hearing me, straight up ignoring me. At this time, I could only wonder if this is the fate of my NBA career. But hey, only time will tell, right? I'm back from my road trip. Let's take a look around the league. Obviously, I'm not in the Rookie of the Year race, but who is Victor Wembanyama. He's looking like the front runner early on in the season. He's dominating. But as for the Spurs, they suck. They're the worst team in the league, getting only 8 wins almost halfway through the season. No surprises there. If I was a fan and had to vote for the MVP, I gotta go with Jokic. Bro is dominating the NBA right now. He's currently averaging over 30 points, 11 assists, and 15 rebounds. Straight cooking up the league. While the Nuggets don't have the best record, better believe they're gonna be in the finals if it's up to him. And as good as we're playing, believe it or not, we're not even the best team in LA. That belongs to the Clippers. Apparently the James Harden trade worked out for them boys. With Russ coming off the bench, the Clippers are looking like a real threat in the West. We're gonna have to see about that. Out East, the worst team should come as no surprise. Washington, it's the Jordan Poole show. And if that's the case, man, you know the results. Bro's out there running his own offense with no regrets. They got the worst record in the Eastern Conference. And as for the best team, that belongs to the Boston Celtics. Currently 31-6, hold the best NBA record, and the acquisitions of Drew Holiday and the original unicorn Porzingis have worked out well for this team as they look unstoppable. And speaking of unstoppable, John Morant got off his 25-game suspension and is straight cooking the league. He's currently leading the league, averaging 33 points a game. Hey, he heard all the noise y'all were talking while he was suspended, and he came back with a mission. And as far as us, we're doing all right. We're currently the 4th seed in the Western Conference right now, almost halfway through the season, and practices are getting intense. I'm taking out all my frustrations against the first team in practice. I'm running with the second squad, obviously not getting a lot of minutes in the games, so the only way I can get noticed by the coaches is playing hard in practice. Me, practices weren't even that hard. AD and Braun barely practiced with us, so it was really D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves that I had to worry about in the guard position. The only problem is, they had what I didn't: experience. No matter how many times I balled out in practice, that wouldn't earn the trust from LeBron and the higher-ups to throw me in the game more. See, this team needed what I really didn't possess: shooting off the bench. And for me, I'm a playmaker. I'm a go-getter. Maybe this team ain't for me. Maybe they drafted a 19-year-old kid they didn't even want.
This just in, we are hearing that the Los Angeles Lakers are finalizing a trade that will send first-round pick Keontae Blue and guard Max Christie to the Pelicans in exchange for Trey Murphy, Najee Marshall, and a future first-round pick. This comes as a surprise, but the Pelicans were in need of a true point guard and scoring off of the bench, and the Lakers were in need of size and shooting. For Keontae Blue, maybe a change of scenery will help him see the court more than his short time in LA.
And just like that, my time in LA was done. I packed my bags, boarded my flight, sent my goodbyes on IG, and I'm off. It's crazy how life can change in the blink of an eye. 1 minute, I'm sitting on the bench in LA, feeling like I'm watching my career go down the toilet. And the next, a new city is embracing me. Into the city of New Orleans? Let's go. The team wasted no time getting me involved. They felt like it was important I got integrated fast. Due to CJ McCollum being injured, I was going to be thrust into the starting point guard position. So the guys helped me out. We ran a 3v3 session the night before my first game after practice. Zion, Dyson Daniels, Herb Jones, Larry Nance Jr., and B.I. Us 6 were going to be the core of the rotation while CJ was out. So it was important that I integrated myself in the offense and figured out everybody's tendencies, since this will be my first time being a starting point guard in the NBA. I wasn't nervous, I was excited. Look, y'all know I've been waiting for this moment my entire life. The first few months of my career were spent on the bench. I was ready to get acclimated with this team, no matter what it took. So the late night session until our legs fall off is exactly what we needed. It didn't take much for me to realize what the team tendencies were, and I realized I would fit perfectly. Throwing lobs. We have high flyers like Zion and Larry Nance on this team. I mean, to be honest, my job was quite easy. All I had to do was put it somewhere around the rim, and either Zion or Larry Nance would go up and get it. And I didn't have to worry about scoring. We got Brandon Ingram, and besides the fact he could drop 25 on any given night, he could also handle the rock. He didn't have a problem passing, and when you combine that with my ability to attack the basket, we got a squad. Hey, listen, CJ's gonna be out for a while. They said about a month. So it's gonna be my job to make sure this team does not falter off too far from our playoff hopes, and I'm ready. It's January 7, 2024, and I'm getting ready to make my Pelicans debut. I gotta be honest with y'all, as excited as I was a little nervous. I'm starting for the first time in my career, a new city just like that. And I wasn't having the greatest rookie season at all, but on this night, I have a chance to erase all of that, start over. New city, new team. Man, it was a beautiful night in New Orleans looking over the city. A perfect night to make my debut. All the fans were in attendance, and I got in some hype. Listen, I wasn't having a great season, but I was still a first-round pick. And after the announcement that I was the immediate starter, the fans were looking forward to seeing what I could do while CJ McCollum was out. As they were going through introductions, I was just thinking to myself, who am I even guarding on that team? Then they told me Spencer Dinwiddie was my assignment, and I knew I had a job to do. No matter what, I had to make sure this man did not have a good night. It starts on defense, and I made sure I set the tone out the gate. Spencer Dinwiddie got nothing easy on me. And as far as my offense, it was a work in progress. There's one thing I know how to do: pass the ball. Man, it was almost like I fit seamlessly in this offense. I just swung the ball to the open man every time. And B.I., JV, Zion, these were proven scorers in the NBA. So my job was to step in on defense with Herb Jones. When we push the break, I look for Big Z, and I throw it up, and he does the rest. Look, I know I play with LeBron and AD technically, but this was the first time I was playing with this level of talent in my NBA career. I didn't really see action when I was on the Lakers. So now that I'm a starter, it's different. I go back to the bench and I'm cheering on my guys, but I know I'm getting back in the game. I was finding my way out there on the offense. I got subbed back in right before the end of the first half. Zion got double teamed, he kicked it out to me in the corner, and I hit my first three as a Pelican, and everybody was hyped. That gave me all the momentum I needed to close out this game. It couldn't even be much easier, bro. I'm just throwing lobs to Zion as often as I could. And if it wasn't Zion or Larry Nance throwing it down, y'all know I could do the job. I wasn't sure what my NBA life would be, but if this is the start of my starting life, then I'm here for it. Whether I'm facilitating or sitting in the court and waiting for my shot, I'll be ready. I capped off a perfect Pelicans debut with a corner 3, and I ended my game with a great stat line. 13, 9 assists, 8 rebounds. Nothing out of this world, but it was enough. And we had a big road trip ahead. So right before we took off, me and my big fella JV hit the free throws one time. And while I was in the free throw line, I couldn't help but think to myself, I got a chance to do something special. I got a chance to really make a name for myself in the NBA. We're about to go on a crazy road trip, and I got a chance to prove that I belong in this league by going against the NBA's best on the road. I don't know how this will go, but I'm ready. We start this road trip off next door in our neighboring state, Dallas, Texas. We playing the Dallas Mavericks, and you guys know what that means. We facing the 2-guard gauntlet. What a perfect way to start off my first road trip as a starting point guard by going against Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Man, I used to watch Kyrie growing up. I used to play with Kyrie on 2K. Now I gotta put all of that to the side for my fellas and really go out here and prepare to lock these guys up. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? But if I want to be taken as a serious NBA starting point guard, these are the type of matchups I gotta do well in. So out the gate, my teammates kept the ball moving. That's one thing I gotta say this Pelican team does really well. Swing the ball and find the open man. And as far as the Dallas Mavericks, there's one man I had to worry about, Luka. If we were gonna have a chance to win this game, I had to make sure I stayed with him. I couldn't let him get free for open threes. And on offense, I had to make sure I tried to attack him as often as possible to get him tired. Look, he ain't the most in-shape guy, so I figured if I wear him down on offense with post-ups, he'll get a little tired on offense. That didn't work. This dude is a professional scorer. He had me going for fakes I should have never went for. But that didn't stop me from attacking the basket like I know how. He wasn't the greatest defender either, so it allowed me to have a pretty decent night on offense. I was hyped, but I hit foul trouble, so I hit the bench. For most of this game, I watched. It was a reality check. Not everything goes your way in the NBA. You got to be prepared to stay in the game, not just play well. And what did I watch while I was on the bench? I watched Luka torch us in the first half for over 25 points. By the time I came back in the game, he was red hot, directing the offense. We were down, in desperate need of some direction on defense, and I had came to provide that, but it was a little too late. Luka had already found his magic. You know I'm a pesky defender, so I would get in there for a couple of loose balls. By that point, the damage was already done. We were losing this game by 15 in the fourth quarter, but all that was left for me to do was try to get a rhythm going for the next game. Listen, we were going to be on the road for a while, so it was important that no matter what, I figured out how to run this offense so it didn't affect the next game. And that's exactly what I did. I ended this game with 11 points, 12 assists, and the next game found us in Washington, D.C. to take on the Washington Wizards. And the game I felt like was a perfect chance for me and the offense to get back on track. There will be some minor frustration, confusion, typical. I just joined the team not too long ago and now I'm on a road trip. So to be honest, the fact that I'm finding my guys as easy as I am is a blessing. It's great. My teammates were enjoying it. They weren't even mad at me for real. They understood the circumstances and we balled out against Washington. As far as pool, that pool party, well, it's winter. Pool was closed. I locked them up and had 13 points, 8 assists, not to mention 3 steals. But unfortunately, we would get hit with adversity as after the game, Zion was diagnosed with a broken left finger in his hand. And with CJ already out for the rest of this road trip in a few more weeks, it made this even harder. And we went into Boston, who was already the best team in the Eastern Conference, short-handed. And for me, it meant a matchup against Drew Holiday, one of the league's best defenders. And I'm here to tell you, things were not easy. I mean, bro, this was my first ever road trip as a starting guard, and I'm going against Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, and this man Drew was in my jersey. I had no freedom on offense, and on defense, I spent most of my time chasing screens, and much to my delight, if it wasn't Jason Tatum killing us, he was throwing lobs to the newly traded Clint Capella. Man, this Boston team was different. This game was a real eye-opener and wake-up call. I was a little nervous thinking about the fans watching this game. I didn't want the New Orleans fans to turn on me as I just got here. I felt like it really wasn't my fault all the way. We were short-handed, and no matter what we tried, nothing worked. This Boston team was light years ahead of us right now, and with the current state of our team, I was just hoping we made out this road trip alive. By the end of the third quarter, Boston ran up a 27-point lead, and no matter how many timeouts coach would call, nothing stopped their momentum. And to make matters worse, JV would pick up his 6th foul and get fouled out right before the fourth quarter. It would left me alone, out there defenseless, on the ground. seeking help. And I just watched this Boston team trample me, run down the court, and get easy layups. I finished this game with 5 points, 4 assists, and a career high 7 turnovers. And I found myself back on that bench, a place I'm very familiar with. This time around I was a starter, so it wasn't as bad, but this was probably my worst basketball game I've ever played. And while there was a lot of negatives to take from this game, there was one positive. My boy Jordan Hawkins, my fellow rookie. Even though the Pelicans drafted him in the first round, he didn't really receive much playing time up until this point. But in this game, in garbage time, he put on a show, shooting lights out from 3. This man had textbook form, and I got to thinking, me and him got to get chemistry going. We need him. Our next game was in Detroit, and as soon as we touched down, I hit up Jordan, Max, and Dyson to run some pickup games to get our chemistry together. It was finally a chance for me and Jordan to be on the court together. He was a passer's dream, a textbook knockdown shooter that could move without the basketball. And when you combine that with the fact that I can post anybody up, back down, and get free in the paint, not to mention my transition skills, I felt like we had a chance to be a dangerous young rookie duo in this league. So after our pickup runs, I convinced coach to let Jordan get some more burn in our next game against Detroit, and his confidence was at an all-time high. And I can't tell you guys how excited I was when Detroit was on the schedule. I knew no matter what, I was going to get a chance to bounce back, and we needed it. After being shorthanded and getting decimated by Boston, this was a perfect bounce back. I knew Kate was a baller, but for me, I was motivated to show myself on defense, and on offense, I knew I had the mid-range game on lock at this point, and I was hyped. Listen, this road trip did not go how I dreamed it would go, but let's face it, I'm a rookie in the NBA. I've already been to the G League, been on the bench, lived in LA. Nobody would have predicted my career so far, and I'm just getting started. My boy Jordan had a great game against Detroit, and while we didn't have the perfect road trip, we finished the road trip 2-3, and I got my averages up. It wasn't perfect, but the Pelicans fans love me, so much so that I got endorsement deals when I got back home. My agent hooked me up with State Farm, Popeyes, and a bunch of other small businesses in New Orleans. And while I was only a rookie, the city made me feel like a star. This team really changed my life. I had this day circled on my calendar as soon as I joined the Pelicans. Revenge. The Lakers were in town, we're back at the crib, and my name has already been circling around the city. Everybody knew how big of a deal this was for me. And as far as the team, the Lakers were ahead of us in the playoff race. And with CJ and Zion still out, this game was huge. But by now, y'all know I'm not winning back away. Seeing my old coaching staff and teammates put a fire inside of me, but I couldn't say the same for my teammates. The Lakers came out ready to go. You would have thought they were the ones that got traded. D'Angelo Russell had a chip on his shoulder. He hated me. He hated the fact that the Lakers took me in the first round with him on the team. He hit his first 3 early in the game and stared at me when I wasn't looking and ran down the court. As much as I hate to say it, D'Angelo set the tone for this game, on offense and on defense. In all the practices I played with the Lakers, I ain't never seen D'Lo play this hard. And I tried to match the same energy. I came out hitting a 3, and while we were down, I was trying to keep my team in it. But unfortunately, I'll pick up a foul, fouling D'Lo on an and 1 3-pointer, and he couldn't wait to celebrate. I had no answers. At one point, I remember looking up, begging, wondering, what happened? When did he turn into Steph Curry? This man was always a streaky player, but against me, he bought park boost and went to work. And coach noticed I was taking this game way too personally. So he called a timeout, angrily, and would sub me out the game. And I was trying to explain to my boy Herb that I wasn't tripping, but at the end of the day, coach had me on the bench watching, and the Lakers ran it up on us. I'm talking about they embarrassed us at home. I mean, even with Zion and CJ out, the effort we put forth in this game was not acceptable. And the Lakers, they made a mockery of us. They had a point to prove. LeBron and this team wanted to prove that they were light years ahead of us as a team. They didn't care about CJ and Zion being out. Their only objective in this game is to kill our spirits, destroy our confidence. And speaking of destroy, he destroyed the rim right over Brandon Ingram. And I'm talking about LeBron was in a prime performance mode. They were up as much as 29 on us. LeBron would not stop the pain. He dropped 35 on 7 of 9 from the 3-point line. I wasn't seeing LeBron shoot like this my entire life. Now he and D'Angelo are looking like Steph and Clay in their prime. And I couldn't do nothing but watch for most of the game. But even when I checked in, they were already on fire. D'Lo was getting to the basket any way he wanted to, and LeBron was stepping back to the half-court line and shooting threes. And there was times where they had me on AD, and I was crying for help. Inside, of course. And on the outside, D'Angelo was shooting threes right over my wingspan. And that was the most embarrassing loss we ever took as an organization, at least since I've been around. I ended the game with a triple single, 5 points, 5 assists, and 5 personal fouls. And while I took this loss harder than anybody else in that stadium, my boy Brandon Ingram tried to cheer me up. He reminded me that we were still in the playoff race and CJ and Zion were coming back soon. So keep my head up. You're just a rookie, bro. And I needed that. Grateful to have vets like him on his squad, bro. And as for the Lakers, they enjoyed this win. They were 1-0 on me. They had a secure playoff spot right now, and they were enjoying themselves. But that wasn't the last time I would see them. I knew that. After the Lakers beat down, I decided to go back home, release some steam, watch some college basketball. It's March, so the season's coming to a close, and I have some catching up to do. I've been traveling a lot of trades, I haven't been able to keep up. What I found out is my youngin' Tay Cole from Chicago that I grew up playing with went to Ohio State, and he ended up balling out. Right now they got him as a projected lottery pick, and in the game they were going against Tennessee, they had some Australian kid as the point guard, and the broadcast said that he reminds them of Josh Giddey. Guess we'll see. I flipped the game to Auburn, and they were facing Syracuse, a 2 top 10 team matchup. This game has some old school feel to it. 2 big body centers going after each other, banging down low. Listen, I'm not entirely sure how they will do in the league, but the mock drafts got them kind of high. They're a little skilled, a little fast, a little talented. I'm not one to hate. I'm all for it. As I was getting ready to turn off this game, they highlighted one player in their team named Anthony Hardaway, their 2 guard. And they said he was a walking bucket, leading the nation in scoring, almost 24 points a game. And I had to see what they were talking about. They said the kid from Brooklyn, so I already knew he was scrappy. And all his buckets really came from mid-range or at the basket. He was somebody to watch out for. He was a little on the short side, so the mock drafts didn't have him too high. The kid could play. After that game was over, the late night game came up. San Diego State, and apparently they had one of the top prospects in this draft, DJ Brunson. Ironically, he was facing my old school in Villanova, and he gave them the business. It was hard to watch, but the kid reminded me of myself, except he could actually shoot. I was getting a little sleepy, so I watched the last couple minutes before the first half was over, and I noticed he had his own student section. Must be nice. I'm gonna have to catch up with the rest of the prospects when the draft comes around. It's March 1st, and that means the return of CJ McCollum, a welcome sight to New Orleans fans and team as well. And with his return, that means my starting point guard spot is gone. And while I wasn't overly thrilled, I understood. The team needed scoring punch. With Zion back, we gotta finish this playoff race in style. We back on the road in Toronto in the 6th, and I'm back in a familiar place, watching on the bench, waiting my turn. I'm watching other rookies go in and get action. I'm watching Dick from the sidelines. Crazy. My team got off to a good start, and as usual, I'm just ready to get in the game, contribute. With CJ running the show again, that saw my minutes diminish. But on the flip side, I gotta admit, the team was looking great, and I didn't want to mess that up. So whenever coach called my number, I was ready to just contribute, not do too much, just fill my role, play my lane. Your time will come, bro. We in the middle of a heated playoff push. We got a game against the best team in the NBA, the LA Clippers. Right now, every game matters for us as we're between the 3 and 7 slots, and it's tight. So on the road, we got to shut down Kawhi, Paul George, James Harden, not to mention Westbrook off the bench. It wasn't an easy task, but somebody had to do it. And for me, I started this game watching from the bench. As the usual, with CJ back, it made my job easier. I could come in later in the game after watching. But in this game, I was watching my team get hammered, abused. The Clippers just had it going. I can't explain it, but the individual talent together just worked. And with guys like PJ Tucker doing their job, the team was having one of the best regular seasons in NBA history. And what do I play in? Well, I'll check in the game with the task of guarding James Harden. Simple, right? I can't fight over screens all game, bro. I get tired. I was keeping up with him at first, but there was times where I found myself lost on the court. Listen, bro, I'm still a rookie, so a lot of the vets would try me. They was ready to see me on the court so they could take advantage of my mental. Luckily for me, my natural abilities on defense allowed me to hang in there, even when I was tired. But against great teams, it takes a great team effort. And we didn't have that all 48 minutes. There was times where Paul George, James Harden were just taking turns on us. I gotta admit, even after reading the scouting report, I wasn't even ready for what I was facing. They really tested my patience and my will as a rookie. I was facing the best one-on-one talent in the league, and when I got on offense, I was exhausted. Not to mention, Paul George had 24-hour surveillance on me. No matter where I went, he followed my every step, knew my every move. I didn't have that deep of a bag, so it wasn't that hard, but at the same time, he was a blanket. He put me to sleep. And I was diving for loose balls, and it was going negatively. That's how you know it's just not your game as a team. Whenever you actually putting in extra hustle, and the other team still gets the reward, it's just over. And to kill me off, Paul George hit me with a mean spin move for a layup, and they would send us home with a tough loss. We're getting shots up before our last game, and right now we're the 6th seed in the Western Conference, tied with Minnesota, who is 7th. And for the last game, we got to go into Minnesota with the playoff spot on the line. The winner of this game gets the 6th seed. The loser is in the play-in tournament. And news broke that CJ is going to be out with a sprain in his foot, so the team is looking at me to start and deliver a victory in a hostile environment. It's game 82, a lot on the line, a secure playoff spot for us, or the play-in tournament, which nobody wants. Minnesota? Well, they were used to the play-ins. Some would say they're play-in champions, but as for us, we weren't even trying to face that feat. With CJ out, the team was looking to me to step up, and I had a big task on my hand. I was facing Anthony Edwards, aka the Michael Jordan of this generation. You could tell by the start of this game, nobody wanted that 7th spot. Minnesota came out on timing, so did we. They had Michael Conley on me on defense. I had to take advantage. Now I found my big fella in the paint, and it just felt good to be in the starting lineup again. But what didn't feel good is guarding Anthony Edwards. This man was torching us. He rattled off 15 points in the first quarter alone. He was dang near unstoppable no matter who was on him. Switches, me, straight up blowing right past me. I'm so glad he didn't dunk on me right there. But what happened is, he'll get the ball right back in post-up fashion, and like old Michael Jordan, turn around post fade over my shoulder. I couldn't believe it, but I had to stay in the game. We had to win this game no matter what it took. So if it took me getting embarrassed at the start of this game in order for me to lock in, that's what had to happen. Coach called a timeout and got my focus together. He reminded us about ball movement, and I almost forgot. I'm the point guard. They're not looking at me to score everything. I gotta keep the ball moving and get everybody involved. So right here when they try to double me, my boy Jay Hawk is in the game, and you already know that's an automatic bucket. It seemed like the game changed in the second quarter. Our energy was different. We were moving the ball around like the 2014 Spurs. It just felt so good to be back in the starting lineup again. But I got tired of getting torched by Ant, so I took matters into my own hands on defense. Listen, I understand Ant is gonna get his buckets, but I'm not that type of guy that's gonna sit here and take embarrassment. So I started making him miss his shots, but I don't know what I was thinking. I knew I couldn't keep up with him scoring wise, even though I tried. But at the end of the day, as long as I was getting my stops, that's all that mattered to coach. Minnesota wouldn't go away easily. So this game was intense, competitive, everything you want in an NBA game if you're a fan. Shots were going in left and right, and the ball was moving. Everything you would dream of. And as for me, I made sure my big fella got fed. I knew if we were going to do anything in the playoffs or the play-in, we needed Zion at his best. And when I'm at my best, I'm impacting the game on defense. Right here, I got a double block on a fast break possession and saved us an easy bucket. It may not seem like much, but it was a big moment in the game. I showed my teammates I was willing to hustle back for us. By this point, we were in the third quarter and Minnesota was starting to lock up a little bit. Rudy Gobert, hey, we might not love him, but this man is a great defensive player and he impacts the game. And when he's rim running like this, the Timberwolves become hard to beat. And for us, I had to find a way to get past him. He seemed like he was everywhere on defense for a while. And Anthony Edwards would find his rhythm again, and the Timberwolves would take a lead late in the third quarter. But like I mentioned before, my defense in this game was on point. With a couple minutes left in the third quarter, I would pickpocket Mike Conley not once, but twice and get easy fast break dunks, not only giving my team momentum and hype, but giving us a lead going into the fourth quarter, and that's what I took over. They put a baby on me. I couldn't believe it. Shout out to Mike Conley, but he couldn't hang with me, and I had to prove my point. And it seemed like they got the whole team going. We got defensive stops, the ball was swinging around, and everybody was eating come fourth quarter time, and it was hype. We were seeing that 6th seed in our sights, and when the fourth quarter was usually Anthony Edwards aka Michael Jordan time, I shut all that down, and I turned it up on offense, getting in my bag a little bit, taking control of this team like they want me to. This is why they brought me here, made a trade mid-season. While I wasn't a CJ McCollum to get you 25, I knew exactly what to do in the fourth quarter, and I put the team on my back. With about 4 minutes left, we were up big and I had a chance to stick the dagger in Minnesota's heart in poetic justice. The same shot I couldn't hit to save my life, I buried to win us the game and secure our spot in the playoffs, the 6th seed. I had a career night on the perfect night. With an 18-point lead, coach would clear the bench and take the starters out. For the first time in my career, I felt like I belonged. It may have took all season, but this was the moment I've been waiting for. At the end of my rookie season, I ended off with a 16-point victory to help my team get in the playoffs. I didn't know who we were playing, but in the moment, it didn't matter. All that I cared about in that moment was my teammates, my city, my team. After the game, I posted to my IG, celebrating, and my teammates were right there with me. It seemed like Zion always references some food, but that's neither here nor there. What matters is New Orleans, we back in the playoffs, and the city is hyped. This city, this team, took a chance on the kid. Now I'm taking y'all to the playoffs. As for who we're playing, I ain't want to check my phone and see. It was the last day of the season. I just wanted to get some free throws in one last time before we got to ramp it up for the playoffs. But I knew whoever we were playing, it's going to be a dogfight. This may be my first rodeo, but the vets on this team have been ready for this. Whoever we were playing, I know we were going to have to go on the road first, so I got my last free throws up and left the practice facility. And on the way home, I was driving and looked up and saw the playoff billboard. You wouldn't believe who we playing. Poetic justice, right? Dear Nola, back in January, you guys saved my NBA career. You made the trade for me, made me the starting point guard, through all the ups and through all the downs. You guys have made my rookie year special. But this story is incomplete. We made the NBA playoffs, and now we have to thank you guys by putting on a show. So I encourage you guys to come out to games 3 and 4, and possibly 6, at the Smoothie King Center. We're facing off against my old team, the LA Lakers. And while we're undefeated, we're overconfident. And with you guys' help, we fully expect to be there at the end, competing for a championship. The NBA playoffs start on April 15th. Into the city, go Pels. It's playoff time, and for a rookie, I didn't know what to expect. So around this time of year, I was relying heavily on my vets, CJ, B.I., and Coach Willie Green. We won Game 82 against the Minnesota Timberwolves to secure our spot as the 6th seed, so we had to get our game together before we hit the road to face the LA Lakers, a place I'm very familiar with. And while I'm not one to hold grudges, this series meant a lot to me. Look, at this point, y'all are familiar with my story. Got traded by the LA Lakers after getting drafted with the 17th pick. Barely got any playing time, spent time in the G League. When the Pelicans traded for me, I got a chance to start over fresh. And I've been thriving in my new role, whether that's coming off the bench or starting. And since CJ was still nursing the ankle sprain, I was going to be the starting point guard for a series against the Lakers. Not many people have faith in us. Matter of fact, I checked my phone after practice, and we didn't really garner much respect on Twitter. A lot of people believe that the Lakers just got too much veteran talent, and we're not ready. There's also people that believe I'm not ready to be the starting point guard for a championship team. And all the hate really just added fuel to the fire, and I'm burning. So much so that before we had to take off to LA, I decided to call the guys up, and we ran some runs to get our chemistry together. Look, CJ was coming off an injury still, so it was important that I got chemistry up with the guys heading to the playoffs. The Lakers were a veteran team, so it was important that I had my chemistry with my vets and my young guys accordingly. So it was me, JV, and my youngin' Jordan Hawkins against B.I., Zion, and CJ. And even though I was the one that called the guys up, the vets were locked in and came and gave buckets out. CJ, B.I., we already know what they could do on the basketball court. Natural buckets. And even though CJ was battling an injury, he was working his way back. It was only a matter of time before he crept back in the starting lineup. And that's why it was important for me to set the tone. I was going to be the starter for at least 2 games in this series until CJ was ready to come back. And then who knows? But if I made a good impression on the coaching staff, I might stay in the starting lineup. So this little late run was personal to me. Even though Zion was locking me up, I knew if I got CJ on me, I was going to take advantage. Then it hit me. D'Angelo Russell was going to be guarding me for most of this series, and CJ and him were about the same size. So if I could take it to CJ, I for sure could take it to D'Lo. And I felt like whenever Zion switched on me, it was equivalent to LeBron guarding me. So when that was the case, I'll find my open shooter. And my boy Jay Hawk was really the Ray Allen of this generation. I felt like he had big things coming, and I was hyped. And for me, my bag was getting deeper and deeper by the day. Y'all remember when I couldn't hit a jump shot to save my life? Things changed, don't they? Everybody look good, man. And I'm excited. Look, despite what the world thinks, I think we're ready to go. The Lakers got vets, so do we. The Lakers got scorers, so do we. Then it registered to me. I'm the X factor. Depending on how I play, could be determined how the series will go. And if I'm knocking down my jump shot, LA might be in trouble. Later that night, after the runs, we'll board the team plane and take off to LA. My playoff journey awaits me. I'm not sure what's in store, but I know one thing. The playoffs are where legends are made. For better, for worse. And I ask myself, what will my legacy be? LA, the atmosphere is insane. I may have played here at the start of my career, but I never experienced LA during the playoffs, and it was electric. Seeing my old guys again brought nostalgia back from just the beginning of the season. But it's a different time of the year. It's the time of the year where we put your best foot forward. All that smiling, joking around, laughing, handshaking is over. It's time where savages come out to play, and I'm ready. At this point, if you're tuning into my story, I need you to buckle up, because the playoffs are just getting started. My boy B.I. would get us kicked off with an easy bucket over LeBron. But right after, D'Lo wasted no time in attacking me straight to the basket. It seemed like he still took it personally that they drafted me, even though I wasn't there. And after I was bringing the ball up the court, I decided to take a look around, embrace the atmosphere. We're in Crypto Arena 2024, and it's lit, and I had to put on a show. So I got out of character and did something I never thought I would do. I hit a little step back, drained a 3 at the beginning of this game, and stared at D'Lo after like he did to me earlier in the season. and D-Lo felt that stare, tried to come right back with a three of his own. Airball. Somebody forgot to close the windows in the arena. And the fans, they was left scratching their heads wondering, what was that? Nobody knew. But it's the playoffs, so it's next play. And after that, me and D-Lo would go back and forth, basically all series. I attacked the basket strong with my left hand. I'm telling you guys, there's something about breathing the atmosphere in the playoffs that'll get you acting different. And with some good defensive stops, we set the tone. And due to CJ McCollum coming off the bench, my boy Jordan Hawkins was getting the start. He was giving out buckets. Who would have thought? The two rookies starting off the playoffs with a bang, putting the Pelicans up 13-2, forcing the Lakers call an early timeout. We tried not to get too high, and coach in the timeout was reminding us that moments change the game. And speaking of moments, this moment will change the game, possibly the series. Anthony Davis will baptize JV underneath the rim, meant to murder. And I felt like nothing was the same after this. Immediately after this, it sparked the Lakers' run, but we couldn't hit our shots despite numerous attempts. And the Lakers in turn got the crowd back involved, and I got my first full introduction into the Lake Show. Most will consider me a pretty solid defender, some would say even elite. But in the beginning of this game, I was getting abused off the screens. And as for my boy J-Hawk, I'm sorry. He got switched on LeBron a couple times, got taken advantage of. And of course D-Lo was becoming a pest on defense when he plays me. And it didn't even matter, as I started to miss wide open shots myself. And despite getting offensive rebounds, everybody was struggling, even JV. Coach would sit us down, and while we were on the bench, we had to watch our lead vanish, and the Lakers take over. I had to put my face in my hands. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. LeBron was dunking all over my guys, and there's just literally nothing I could do about it. He's just that guy, 39 years old, getting up there like a young athlete. By the time we got back in the game, momentum had already swung. I was turning the ball over, LeBron was getting out in transition, and AD, and he was unstoppable. Before you know it, the Lakers got a 10-point lead with about 5 minutes left to go in the second quarter. And coach pulled me back out the game. My turnovers, I had to work on them. He was afraid I was letting the moment get to me as a young guard, and it was expected, but for me, I was disappointed. I hated watching my teammates get abused. And Anthony Davis, he was a man amongst boys this game. We had JV, but he stayed in foul trouble as well. And Larry Nance, it was a lost cause. I mean, you could have had me down there and I would have did a better job than him. And our offense was struggling. Sahara Desert dry. The Lakers took full advantage. By the Lakers, I mean AD. I didn't check the stat sheet, but I'm pretty sure he had over 25 points by halftime. And going into the second half, we needed a miracle. We were only down 12, but it felt like 30. The Lakers just blitzed us. Coming out of halftime, I remember CJ talking to the trainer, letting him know that he was feeling a lot better, and they feel like he could be starting real soon. So I feel like my time is marked. Either me or Jay Hawkins was going back to the bench. So I had to make my presence felt on the court. So coach reminded us of KISS. K-I-S-S. Keep it simple, stupid. Starting the second half, I kept it simple. I just ran the pick and roll, found my big fella. Listen, we weren't a team that was going to unleash a barrage of threes, and I had to remind myself of that. Attack the basket. Get back to the basics. And when you really honor the fundamentals of the game, open looks will come, and then reality hit. If we really wanted a chance to come back and win this game, we were going to have to do double the Lakers' work. They got LeBron James and AD who just naturally are gifted. Not saying we don't got naturally gifted guys ourselves, but we're going to have to hit more shots than we did in the first half and complete better defensive execution. And so far in the third quarter, we were off to a good start. Getting out in transition, finding easy guys for layups, and feeding our big fella, Big Z. The Lakers had Jared Vanderbilt guarding Zion for most of the game. And while Jared Vanderbilt was doing a great job, we were going to need Zion if we wanted any chance of winning this series. So we had to work out the kinks at some point. But in this game, we were down 5 with about 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and as LeBron so often does, he gets his teammates involved late in the game to get their confidence up. Austin Reeves will hit a 3 to put the Lakers up 8, and with AD getting on the block, kiss it goodbye. We were missing our shots bad in the fourth quarter. By us, I mean the vets. And on transition, D'Angelo was even dunking. It just got dark. If you tuned into this game at any point after the first quarter, you would have never known we had a lead, including us. We forgot how to play. We forgot how to make shots. And on defense, after a certain while, the Lakers were just in such a groove that it didn't matter how we were playing it. Lobs were getting thrown, dunks were getting put in the basket, and celebrations were being had. The Lakers had a monster fourth quarter, and Anthony Davis was the monster. This man had 41, 14, and 4 blocks. And I love JV, my free throw buddy. But after that dunk in the first quarter, I ain't seen him all game. In my NBA playoff debut, I went in with 8 points, career high 13 assists, and also 7 turnovers. And those 7 turnovers were glaring. I'm not saying that's how we lost the game, but it certainly didn't help. And if we want to have any real chance, I gotta protect the ball. Going into game 2, the vets reminded me to wipe that all away. Start fresh. And even though my dog got murdered, I had a lot of respect for JV. He came back to the grind. He was helping me out with my free throws. And as for me, I had a chance to still make a name for myself in game 2. Listen, we lost the first one, but all we really need to do is still one on the road. And we got a chance to do that in game 2. And I'm ready. It's game time. And right before the game, news broke that CJ will be getting the start. But I'm not coming off the bench. Coach saw enough of me to keep me out there as the starting point guard, and instead, he will bring my boy Jayhawk off the bench. And me and CJ will be in the backcourt starting for the first time ever. And opening the game up, we made it a point to get CJ going early. We knew how important that would be to his rhythm, and we were going to need him later on in the game. But unlike last game, the Lakers came ready to go. And I don't know if that was good or bad. We blew a 13-2 lead early on in last game, but this time, both teams were neck and neck. For every action, there was a reaction. For every bucket given, there was a bucket returned. And I had a calm start to this game, and D'Lo noticed that, and he decided to get in my head. As a veteran, he knew he would draw the call faster than a rookie. Man, I was just trying to initiate the offense. Bro got close to me and started flopping. But the refs, they didn't see it that way. They called me for a charge. I remember seeing D'Lo snicker, and I said, bet, expect the unexpected. This play might surprise you. I got AD on a switch, and I took it right over LeBron and AD, and I got a top 75 poster. Put both of them boys in a pack. I got my nuts right on top of LeBron's ball spot, and he couldn't believe it. Neither could I. Neither could this LA crowd. I shocked everybody. They got quiet as a church mouse in that arena. Even my teammates were shocked. But as I would learn, the NBA playoffs don't stop for anybody. And disrespecting a legend like Bron, I already knew in the back of my head, he was going to try to take my head off at some point. But going into a timeout, everybody was hyped. And so was I. I get this team a momentum spark that we needed. We were only down 1-0. I don't know why I felt like we were already down 3-0. But at the end of the day, we win this game and this series is tied. But the Lakers had other plans. In the second half, LeBron and AD got cooking. And as for CJ, my boy was struggling. He was still coming off that injury and it was getting to him. Even D'Lo was cooking him on defense. We tried our hardest to get him a rhythm, but my boy was just off beat, off touch. And the Lakers took full advantage. I told y'all LeBron was mad. And every chance he got, he took his frustrations out on the rim. And the crowd, they already forgot about that poster. On cue, just like last game, the Lakers rattled off an insane second quarter and took a double-digit lead in the halftime. But despite CJ's struggles, the offense will figure it out thanks to me at the helm. And in the third quarter, we kept it a 2-point game, head to the fourth. Despite all the ups and downs, we really had a chance to take this game and even this series up, heading back to Smoothie King Center. With our backs against the wall, down 1-0, this is when you find out who's really about it. And Lakers, the same. When you up 1-0 with a chance to go up 2-0, everything matters as well. So this game was back and forth in the fourth quarter. Both teams not wanting to give up an inch. And in the playoffs, it doesn't matter if you're a superstar or not. When the ball finds you, you gotta make a play. And that's exactly what Austin Reeves did right here. He would outmuscle my boy Jordan for the offensive rebound and get the and-1. And unfortunately for Jayhawk, coach wasn't feeling his effort. He would get subbed out. And it hurt. My boy was a rookie just like me. So the rookie mistakes he made, I felt like I could make too. But at the same time, we had a game to win. And coach felt like it didn't matter who was on the court. You had to step up. And that's exactly what Herb Jones did. He wasn't a knockdown shooter, but he knocked it down when we needed to. Despite getting subbed out, Jordan's spirits were high on the bench, and we needed that. That got me motivated, and I made a crazy block on D'Lo in the corner when he tried to go for a 3. And man, at this point in the game, we got a lead. I made a crazy defensive stop, but we got the momentum going right now. And the crowd is silent. But of course, coach was subbing CJ McCollum. And I felt like, man, CJ is my guy. Listen, he's the vet on this team. Whenever he's in the game, the offense just shifts to him. And he would score. I'm not saying he was bad at all. And surprisingly, in this fourth quarter, he would get an assist to Zion on the break, and he would keep our lead extended. But I would just lose my touch with the game throughout periods of time. I have to search for my shot for real. I'm used to having the ball and being able to get everybody involved. But when he's in the game, I gotta assert myself on defense to make my presence felt. An important moment in the game came up right here. We're up 2, and I get a reach-in steal off LeBron James, and I'm out in transition, and I see B.I. to my left. I dime him up, and he smokes a layup. I don't know if he got fouled, but regardless, that changed the momentum of this game. And what did I say in game 1? Moments can make or break playoffs. Right here, Austin Reeves will tie up the game after that mishap with about 4.5 minutes left. The crowd was back involved. Despite momentum starting to shift, I'll keep us in the game by diming up Zion for the layup, and we'll take a 2-point lead and the Lakers will call a timeout. And I was telling Z, yo, we can do this every time down the court and close this game. When it came to timeouts, coach didn't even look my way. I really felt like a rookie in those moments. Towards the end of the game, LeBron would hit a monster 3, to tie it up at 109 with about 2 minutes left. And our go-to guy was CJ, and he actually came through for a bucket right here to give us a 2-point lead. But unfortunately at this point, nobody was really stopping LeBron at the end of the game. And then CJ followed it up with a bad jump ball dribbling into traffic, and the Lakers will win his jump ball, get momentum back. With about a minute and a half left, they'll have a chance to take the lead. And who will they go to? Surprise, surprise. LeBron will pull off one of the craziest plays I've ever seen. He will miss the mid-range shot and fly in for his own putback dunk after AD tipped it. Then he flicked us off his shoulder. Embarrassing. I ain't never seen my boy Zion go out like that on the boards. Despite all that, it was only a 2-point game. We had a chance to tie it up. CJ would bring the ball down the court and force a terrible shot. And after that, it felt like it was curtains. After the terrible miss, LeBron would push up the court to AD, and D'Angelo would force a bad shot on me. I don't know why he pulled it, but it doesn't matter. When you got a vacuum cleaner down low in Anthony Davis, there's no such thing as a terrible shot. He would put it back up, JV would continue getting bodied, and our coach was pissed. We were down 4, and I just was not involved in the offense at all. CJ would make this shot right here to cut it to a 2-point game in traffic, and it was still enough time for us to force a 2-for-1. But LeBron would continue to take matters into his own hands, giving Brandon Ingram a little shove, and Brandon Ingram was pissed. He threw the ball at me like I was the ref. In a moment I didn't know why, but looking at the replay, he did catch a little forearm to the midsection, and the refs didn't even see it. But at the same time, CJ McCollum was throwing up terrible shots down the stretch. With Anthony Davis blocking it with his armpit, and LeBron James hitting these free throws, our night was done. And just like that, we're down 0-2 heading back to the crib. Sad, disappointed. Those are words I would say to describe my mood. Man, I really had a good game this game. So did my guys. We just didn't execute down the stretch. And we weren't one to point fingers. We all had to be better. So going into game 3, we had to figure out how to stop the Lakers' momentum, because no matter what, we cannot go down 0-3. Game 3, we're back in the city. I finally got my hair done, got my twist, got my beard shaved, and I'm feeling good. Listen, the first 2 games did not go how we wanted it to. But at the end of the day, we got a chance to win both games at home and even this series up. And the city was going to be rocking. I already know everybody was popping out the Smoothie King Center. So in practice, everybody had a newfound sense of urgency. Coaches reminded us, at the end of the day, we were the underseed and we weren't expected to win the first 2 games. But we got to protect our home court and win these next 2 games like our life depends on it. For some, it kind of does. From CJ down to the last man on the team, everybody was dialed in at practice. And as for me, I had everybody rocking and rolling, and I had a newfound sense of energy myself. The coaches have been talking to me all through our practices and in between games, reminding me not to take this match way too personal. I had really good moments, but there were times where I felt like I was forcing the ball, causing turnovers, trying to make the Superman play. And they were right. There's no one man to blame for our 0-2 deficit, unless you want to blame LeBron James or Anthony Davis. But at the end of the day, we got a chance to make it right in front of our home crowd. And I was excited. No more nervousness. I expect to go out and be great. And it starts in game 3. Beautiful night in the city. Perfect day for basketball. And everybody was locked in. But before the game, something surprising happened. Me and CJ were chopping it up in the tunnel. It was only our second game starting together, and we had to get our chemistry up. And I asked him for advice in the playoffs, and he gave it to me. And I felt like this had the mix in being a great game. We knew what lied on the other side, but we felt like what we had was way more than enough. With the energy from the home crowd, I couldn't wait to get things started. I felt like I was having a solid series. Turnovers were my main issue, and that could be fixed. A lot of that was due to nerves, tension, and just being a straight up rookie. At the end of the day, we got a job to do, and we're expected to win at home. One thing I didn't tell you guys was during practice, coach informed me that he'll be putting me on LeBron James throughout times in this game. And it's one thing to hear it during practice, but to be in the actual game standing next to him, completely different. But no matter who I was guarding, it was important that we got off to a good start. So we tried to beat Zion again, but this man Jared Vanderbilt had Zion on clamps, and with AD coming over for the help block, D'Angelo Russell would get the scoring started with a transition 3. But instead of letting the Lakers gain momentum, Austin Reeves would switch on me and I would be aggressive, backing him down and knowing I was stronger than him and finishing right over him. And early on in this game, I made my presence felt. Anytime I saw Austin Reeves on me, or anybody for that matter, we attacked him. He picked up early foul trouble, and I got myself an early free throw off of and one. Listen, we all know how those first 2 games went, and I wasn't about to sit around and wait for us to get momentum. I had to set the tone myself. I mean, when you down 0-2, you don't got time to wait around for anybody. So I decided to take matters into my own hands, and my jump shot was looking crazy good. All the work I was putting in shooting shots in between games has really been paying off, and my confidence is at a really extreme high right now. And I tried to carry that over into the defensive side, but these screens were killing me. LeBron was abusing me and my rookie mindset off the pick and rolls and taking me straight to the basket. And I tried to play it off every time. This man was so locked in to be 39 years old. And unfortunately, after I got off to a great start, the Lakers decided to switch it up and put Jared Vanderbilt on me. and that felt like I just got arrested. This man had me incarcerated, in jail. So I tried to get others involved early on, and thankfully Zion got a switch and took advantage. But coach had to take me out the game. I was struggling, and I was tired. On one end, I'm guarding a brick wall and LeBron James. On the other end, I'm getting guarded by a brick wall and Jared Vanderbilt. But despite that, in the second quarter, it was a 3-point game. Things were back and forth, but to be honest, this is deja vu. Every game has been close, but unlike the other games, I can't even get going no more. With my absence on offense, if there was ever a play that encapsulated our season and the way we've been playing, it was this one. CJ would miss a wide open mid-range shot, and after 4 offensive rebounds, maybe even 5, this man JV was missing every single layup, and to cap it off, CJ would miss a wide open 3 off the kickout. Despite all that, I was still in the game trying to keep locked in, but it was hard to be locked in when I was locked up. Y'all may think I'm joking. This man Jared Vanderbilt had me in the corner like I was in timeout, and CJ McCollum was doing his best Franklin Saint impression, brick by brick. I had to watch him build this house. The most surprising thing was the fans didn't boo, and the coaches didn't sub him out. I feel like if I did that, I'll be first thing on the bench. But I guess that's the leeway you get when you're a veteran. We're still in the later stages of the second quarter, and I'm still locked up. I didn't know my sentence was this long. This man Vanderbilt forced me into a shot clock violation, and I remember hearing some fans frustrated, but I'm like, what do y'all want me to do? This man is locking me up. But thankfully, my teammates were there to save me. They'll be stepping in on defense, and then Jordan Hawkins will come off the bench, sparking. Me and Jay were the only rookies on his team, so our chemistry was through the roof. And after I found him for the 3, he returned the favor, and I knocked down mine. And would you know it, we were only down 1 point with 2 minutes left in the second quarter, and we had some momentum. But here come the momentum snatchers, AD and Bron. They were playing at an all-world level this series, but I couldn't let that get to my head. So on the next possession, I came back and hit a 3 of my own, a 3 I would never take. But in this game, in this playoffs, everything goes. And I decided to really press up on Bron and set the tone. My boy Jay Hawkins was setting the tone himself, and the fans appreciated it. Both the rookies getting involved and making good plays. And after being on the bench to close out the third quarter, we were only down 1 point, and coach sent me to the scores table so I could check in at the start of the fourth. The biggest quarter of our lives was on the horizon. With LeBron getting some rest, it was important that we came off to a good start in the fourth. There was one problem. AD was still on the court. Thanks to him, the Lakers maintained a 3-point lead, and by the time LeBron came back on the court, it was my assignment to shut him down for the fourth quarter. Laughable. This man hit a post fadeaway, and the crowd immediately got nervous. Bro, we were down 0-2, we had a solid game, and once again in the fourth quarter, we found ourselves behind the 8 ball, watching LeBron and AD go crazy. But unfortunately, I wasn't watching. I was involved in the action. LeBron was scoring over me at will, and the fans had to hide their faces. Disturbed, disgusted. I was so tired, nothing was going on offense. My legs were going. Imagine somebody shoving a cinder block at your legs for about 20 minutes straight. That's what it felt like getting backed down by LeBron James. Not to mention the embarrassment. This man was fading over me and Zion, and no matter how high I jumped, the shot was just even higher. And despite only being down 10 points with 3.5 minutes left, I was on E. All of my energy was gone. And as if it wasn't already bad enough getting backed down by LeBron, Vanderbilt had me in 23-1 lockdown with no visitation. With him taking me out, the game became a 4-on-4 on offense, and CJ and the guys were not up to par. And LeBron would put the cherry on top by backing me down and shooting another post fadeaway over me, and suddenly everything just got foggy. And what was a beautiful season seemed like it was ending in nightmare fashion. I would lead the game, having a pretty solid performance. All that would matter, so I just let LeBron go the vintage and kill us off. They were up 3-0, but it felt like the world came to an end. I was just devastated. I could see all the memes and jokes getting off now. I knew not to check my phone after this game. The Lakers would go up 3-0, and they'll keep a business attitude. And for us, we were all looking at each other wondering if we had what it took to avoid the sweep. We knew nobody believed in us. We had to believe in ourselves and in each other. With Game 4 on the horizon, we had to treat this like a 0-0, and we had one job: win this game and not get swept. Game 4, 3-0 series lead for the Lakers, and for us, that's our last chance at redemption. The city's looking to us to show some backbone. The Lakers have came in here and dominated. Whether the scoreboard indicates it or not, the fourth quarters have not gone our way. And as I was getting called for the starting introduction, I had to realize something. I may be a rookie, but I got a chance to make my legacy start now, in the playoffs. And I can't get swept, so I gotta give it everything that I got. Me and the guys, we gotta dig deeper than we ever dug. Look, everybody's healthy, we got no excuses. And as for coach, his job might be on the line. And this is a position I've never been in before in my life. But at the end of the day, this is what I signed up for. This is a part of that dream, the NBA life, right? So in the beginning of this game, I had D'Lo on me, and I took full advantage. That's what I always do. I'm a tone setter. But it's the end of the game that we got to worry about. But of course, we had to do the work to get there. So when this game was a little bit different, we'll take a massive lead in the first half, not really showing any signs of letting up. I would get my jump shot going early, and I was looking smooth. I felt good. I was playing good. In the first quarter, we scored a high of 44 points. When I went to the bench with the rest of the starters, we were watching that lead slowly fade away. By the end of the third quarter, we had a 10-point lead. Most teams will feel comfortable, but if you're us and the team we're going against, no lead is safe, and that proved to be right. D'Lo will keep the Lakers involved in this game, and the lead will be 3 towards the end of the third quarter. Momentum starting to shift once again. Things got tense in the huddle and the timeout, so much so that B.I. even raised his voice and started yelling back at Coach. And when he stood up, my heart almost jumped out my chest. I ain't never seen B.I. this upset, and it stuck with me. I ain't want to let the guys down, whether I love them or not. CJ, Zion, JV, B.I., these were my vets. They helped ease me into the NBA life, and I would do anything to see them not get swept. But at the end of the day, your shot's not falling. It's only so much your teammates can do to help. And with Brandon Ingram having one of the worst games of his career, the Lakers snatched all momentum back at the end of the third quarter and made this a close game. And B.I., he still struggled. Wide open or not, nothing was falling. And at the end of the third quarter, we needed all momentum we can get. Reeves would try to tie the game right here with a 3 while he missed it. Who else is there to clean up? Anthony Davis. 1-point game on the horizon. I would turn the ball over right here on offense, trying to do way too much and throw a lob to Zion. It was a struggle. And Lakers would score, and there goes another lead blown. Depressing. At the end of the day, we had to save our season. It was only a 1-possession game going into the fourth quarter, and we got Anthony Davis beating his chest like a zesty gorilla. But he was dominating on both sides of the ball. And to compound matters, Brandon Ingram will get a legal screen, and this night just went from bad to worse. It seemed like the world was caving in. The Lakers had all the momentum once again going into the fourth quarter, but who else came through off the bench and saved us? Jordan Hawkins, we hit a buzzer-beating 3 to tie the game back up and lift our spirits. Going into the fourth quarter, the Lakers would keep momentum going. They would take an 11-point lead after this Austin Reeves 3, and with about 6 minutes left, we had to score. But I'll go to Zion, he would miss. Bro's kind of been MIA this whole series. And for the Lakers, all the role players are doing their job, even Trey Murphy. So I had decided to take matters into my own hands once again, this time in the fourth quarter. Look, time waits for no man. I had to make things happen myself. My teammates were like zombies at one point, so I had to wake them up. With my confidence peaking, I was taking shots I only pulled in those runs, and I wasn't afraid of Coach taking me out because we were on the verge of getting taken out of the playoffs. I decided to put the team on my back for a little stretch, and with LeBron out the game getting ready to check in, it was 9 points that we had to make up. And so thanks to D'Angelo Russell, he'll force a bad shot right here and give us a chance off the rebound to push the break. Despite having one of the worst games of his career, B.I. would come through in the clutch and cut this lead down to 7. And on the next possession, I forced a turnover off of D'Lo's leg, and you could feel the momentum shift in the arena. With LeBron James back in the game, we had to figure out a way to score and keep the Lakers from scoring. And against all odds, we went down to our big fella JV, and he would get a crucial and 1 against Anthony Davis, but a chance to cut this lead down to 4, which he did at the free throw line. And momentum is a scary thing. It felt like for the first time all series, things were going our way. On a back pick, Jared Vanderbilt would commit an illegal screen. The ref saw it the whole entire time, and saw a ball again in a 4-point game with 2 minutes left. And we decided to go right back to the big fella, JV. And much to our surprise, he was killing it. He scored right over Anthony Davis once again, and now the crowd was hyped. Everybody was on their feet, and the Lakers fans were nervous for the first time all series. LeBron decided he wanted to take matters into his own hands, and he failed. Our defense held up, and I gave the ball right back to JV and said, yo, big fella, go tie the game up. This man had Braun in the post, hit him with a little hip, and he scored. Tied the game. He was having a special night, but the game was only tied. With a little over 30 seconds left, it was crucial that we got to stop. LeBron surprised everybody and pulled for a 3. After the miss, we got the ball, and we had a chance to really win this game. Out of nowhere, CJ demands for the ball. He's calling for it. He wants to be the hero. He wants to have the last shot. Coach decides not to call a timeout, and I'm stuck in the corner wondering what's the play. CJ calls for the screen. He fakes left, goes right, and when you think he's about to pull, he passes it out to me in the corner, and I wasn't ready. The ball goes right off my fingertips into the hands of LeBron James, and I'm stunned. I couldn't believe it, but in the moment, I got frozen like a statue, and I watched LeBron drive right to the basket, finish with a monstrous dunk to give the Lakers a 2-point lead with about 3 seconds left. The whole arena was shocked, disappointed, hurt. And those same adjectives could describe me in that moment. I couldn't believe what just happened. I wanted to be mad at CJ for putting me in that position, but I was also mad at myself for not being ready to catch it. In the moment, I was so embarrassed. I felt like the world was looking at me, pointing at me, laughing at me, mad at me. Coach didn't even look my way in the huddle. He drew the play up for CJ and BI and would sub me out for Jordan Hawkins just in case. So I spent the last moments of the game watching from the bench in hopes that we hit a shot. But CJ and BI couldn't get open, so the ball was in Jordan Hawkins' hand, my other rookie. With the game on the line, he would miss the shot, and there goes our season. Over. Sweet. This is the part of the NBA playoffs that nobody really tells you how to prepare for. I think I was built to deal with the heartbreak. The worst part was feeling like I contributed heavily towards it. Despite my solid game, that last turnover is gonna haunt me forever. I couldn't wait to move past it. And for Nola, I tried my best, and I fell short. As I was leaving the game, much to my surprise, a lot of the fans would stop me and still ask for pictures and autographs, saying I was the future of this team, and that lifted my spirits up. I felt terrible after the game, but I woke up the next day, and I was immediately grateful. I was in a city and on a team that embraced me. Going into my first offseason, I felt a sigh of relief. I didn't have to worry about my place on the team. My main goal was to improve my game. I felt like I had a chance next year to be a star. This isn't the end of my story, it's just the beginning. You made it through my entire rookie season, and for that, I thank you. If you haven't already, make sure you leave a like. But in the meantime, I'll give y'all some updates. The end of the season went as everybody expected. The Clippers went on to win the NBA championship, beat the Boston Celtics. And James Harden won regular season MVP and Finals MVP. But more importantly, him and Paul George got their first rings. And Kawhi, third ring with his third team. And with the finals over, the season is done. And we're now officially looking forward to the 2024 and 25 season. We have a huge offseason ahead with trades, movement, and most importantly, it starts with the NBA draft. I was looking, and they're saying this upcoming 2024 NBA draft might be one of the greatest of all time. I don't know about that, but the college season was lit, and I'm gonna definitely tune into the draft. I'd love to see where some of these guys came from. What's their NBA stories? Most importantly, I gotta make sure my spot don't get took. Look, it's a lot of young talent in the league, and it's important that I come back and establish myself as one of the best young talents so I don't get overlooked. In the meantime, I'll just be working on my game this offseason. The next time y'all see me, I'm gonna be looking different. Way different. Season 2 on the way, and I'm excited. I'll see y'all then.